Welcome, Guy Kawasaki. Thanks so much for being again an interview for Practive Magazine number 2 that we'll port right now to the iPad. Um, in our magazine number 2, you describe yourself as the chief of Garage Technology Ventures, all
Hmm.
top, and author of several books, and now the latest book, Enchantment. Did I miss anything?
No, that's about it. Yeah. So my new book is called Enchantment, and I don't even have one here. Wow.
I have a cover. I have a cover here, so
Oh,
it's the cover of
okay,
the
good,
book.
good. So this book explains how to influence people, how to persuade people. It's based on the concept
Here's
of
the
being
Kindle.
likable and trustworthy, and having great products or services. So it's what I learned working at Apple as well as a CEO and as a venture capitalist.
It's amazing when you build products that people love, then people come. If it doesn't matter of
Yeah,
the crisis or economic problems or anything like that.
what a concept, huh?
Yeah, and other clue I got from you, which I really loved, is not only to focus on making money, but on making meaning. And I think
Meaning, yes.
it's the thing about enchantment as well, right?
Yes. I've tried to enchant people with great stuff, and I've tried to enchant people with crap, and it's a lot easier with great stuff.
Really.
Yes. I think the more you're introducing something innovative and something different, the more you need to enchant people. And Apple, of course, is the best at this because it has all the qualities. It has likability, trustworthiness, and great product. And if you look at Apple, they're not necessarily trying to close a transaction or make a sale. They're more trying to make you buy into their vision, buy into their view of the world. And if you do that, then of course you will also buy products. And so that's why people are willing to stand in line for Apple products, and very few other companies have such a loyal customer base.
Enchantment also goes back to the CEOs, for example, right? For example, like you
Yes.
you mentioned in your article about Steve Jobs, who just passed away, the fact that he was the product guy, right? And CEOs
Yes.
should be product guys, right?
Steve arguably was the greatest product guy ever.
That's true. That's true. But I mean, there are so many CEOs that are not product guys.
Well, most are not. I mean, it's hard to come up with examples, other than Steve, of a person, a CEO who really understands product. One great example, of course, is the flip side, which is HP for the past three CEOs, right? I mean,
Yes.
uh, I don't know how you could pick three worst people in a row.
You have to be very talented for that.
Yeah, yeah, you have to really work at it. That's
About
true.
Steve Jobs, you wrote a very nice article about how you remember him, and can you tell us what were the most important things that you would like to share? I mean, that
Well,
you learned
I
from
you
that.
know I wrote an article about the 12 lessons
Yeah,
that I learned from Steve, and talk about some of them. First of all, I learned that sometimes you have to believe something to see it, and most of the time, the way you hear this saying is you have to see things to believe them. What I learned from Steve is sometimes you have to believe things to see. Did I say that right? Most times you say I have to see something to believe it. Sometimes you have to believe something to see it,
yeah.
is what I'm saying. And that was true of Macintosh and iPhone, iPod, iPad, every one of those things. So that's one lesson. I also learned that most experts are clueless. People in the press, they're not real users. They're not really powerful. You know. Users of the product and service. They don't really understand how it works, how it should work. So, what does their opinion matter? I learned that you really can't ask a customer what they need or he or she needs because they can't describe it. They usually just use terminology of what's current, and they want it better, faster, and cheaper. So Steve Jobs was an enormous influence upon me.
Actually, when I heard that he passed away, it was in the morning, my time here in Europe, and then the first thing I did, I came to my wife and I said I want a hug because I was so I felt like that because and it's amazing how many millions of people he inspired. I mean, you just look at the
Yeah,
blogosphere; it's amazing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's amazing. I mean, like, remember when Princess Diane died? I mean, it's I think it's probably bigger than that, huh?
Yeah,
So.
Especially
Yeah,
in
it was
business circles, it's almost anyone I know in business and admire and who blogs wrote how Steve Jobs inspired them, and I wrote myself the same thing. I mean, this is just
yeah,
it was like our tribute to Steve.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So for me it was amazing. Yeah, what from your article, for example, also the fact that which you said, the starting point is changing the world, is changing a few minds. That sometimes you just have to
Yes.
change a few minds, and don't give up. That's
Yeah, because if you look back now, yeah, Steve changed millions of minds, but uh, it's one at a time, especially when you're starting. So people think it's going to be instant, and you'll get millions of people all of a sudden to change. It's not true. I mean, it starts and it just snowballs, but it's very important to get those first few, and arguably they're the hardest
And
ones.
another thing that I also remember from you is your famous 10-20-30 rule. And still, so
Yes,
many people don't get it when I go to
I know.
conferences.
I don't understand it either.
I mean, come on,
Yeah.
guy. I mean, everybody should know it by heart by now.
You would think. Yeah, so the 10-20-30 rule is that the optimal number of slides is 10 slides. You should be able to give those 10 slides in 20 minutes, and the smallest font should be 30 points. And if everybody did that, the world would be a better place.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, like, and all the time when I go to a conference, I'm like, come on, I'm reading your slides. I am not supposed to read your slides with
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
12 or 10-point font.
yeah.
Back to your book Enchantment. How do you enchant people with what you do?
Well, it starts with foundation of likability, trustworthiness, and quality.
Hmm.
And if you have those three, that's about 80% of the battle. And
Okay.
then I discuss how you launch a product, how you overcome resistance, how you make your enchantment last. I discuss how to use social media, like push technology, like email, pull technology, like Facebook, how to enchant your boss, how to enchant your employees, and finally, I end up by explaining how to resist enchantment because there are cases where you should resist people's enchantment, that they don't have your best interests at heart.
Oh yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Also the point that I find really appealing is the fact that you have to enchant your employees as well. For example, right now, I'm just finishing a week retreat with my company, and
Hmm.
we're just nine people, but we work remotely. So this is a week we get to just stay together in one place, and it's amazing how much I need their approval, I mean,
Yeah.
not approval, where they share so that they share my ideas. I have to sell them on my ideas actually. So
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
didn't I before that I actually didn't know how much I have to enchant them actually.
Well, I'm glad you know
So
now.
what's next on your agenda?
I think I may write a book about Google Plus because I love Google Plus so much.
You do? Why is that?
Yeah. I think it's better in terms of threading, in terms of putting pictures. I think the community is better, more intelligent, better answers, higher level of sophistication. I really like the Google Plus community.
Yeah, because 2 years ago when we talked, you were so thrilled about Twitter, and you're still active on
Yeah,
Twitter. But
yeah.
so what's the fundamental difference between Google Plus and Twitter? I mean, because Google Plus, you say it's better, more sophisticated, but it's still very early crowd, early adapters, isn't it?
I don't know. They got 50 or 60 million people. The threading is much better. With Google Plus, when you respond to someone, they got the response, and when they respond to you, vice versa, they know you got the response. So it's much easier to have a conversation because it's all organized, like
Hmm.
the threading in Facebook, except Google Plus's notification is better than the Facebook notification. And compared to Twitter, you can have inline big pictures as opposed to just twit pick links.
Yes, that's true.
So it's much more convenient and easy to engage on Google Plus than
So
Twitter.
so you're saying that we should also look more at Google Plus, and it's
Oh yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Yes.
I like your reference about Twitter when you were talking about it about anyway social media, that is the next best thing after television, that you can broadcast in such an efficient way to so many people, right?
Free too.
You would maintain your idea that you would actually you can give up your cell phone instead, but you will not give up your social media.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I would give up my cell phone in a second. And if Michael Arrington would not be so chicken, I'd like to see him take me up on that bet.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
He should have. He should have.
Yeah, well, he's a
So,
wimp.
so anyway, Guy, thanks so much for doing this interview. I mean, I'm sure the readers will be really happy to learn more from
Great.
you as we port our Proactive Magazine number 2 to the iPad. Thanks so much for doing this.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you. Good luck to you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.